What if you could add, well, a tireless member to your sales team? Someone who doesn't need weekends, doesn't even need coffee breaks, and can connect with prospects basically while you sleep.
Yeah, it's a pretty compelling idea.
And the material we've been digging into paints this fascinating picture of exactly that the rise of AI sales development representatives, or AI SDRs.
Exactly. So this deep dive, it's all about getting under the hood of these AI SDRs.
Mm,
We've been looking at an article that really lays out a kind of blueprint for building and, implementing them.
right.
The goal being to sort of reshape how you even approach sales outreach.
Okay, so our mission today. Let's unpack this AI SDR concept. We want to understand what makes them tick, the engine inside, and figure out the practical steps if you wanted to bring this tech into your business. But crucially, without getting totally bogged down in like super technical jargon.
All right, let's keep it accessible.
Okay, so first things first. To really appreciate the AI shift, maybe we should quickly define what a traditional human sales development rep actually does day to day.
Good starting point. Yeah. So
Yeah.
think of the traditional SDR as like the first point of contact, really crucial in the sales process. Their main job is lead qualification. Basically, figuring out if a potential customer, a lead, actually fits your ideal customer profile. Are they a good match?
Makes sense.
Then they handle that initial outreach, the first calls, the introductory emails, maybe even hitting people up on LinkedIn or other social platforms to just spark some interest.
To breaking the ice.
Exactly. And a really big part of their role is scheduling those first meetings between the qualified prospects and the account executives, the AEs, who are the ones who actually try to close the deal.
Got it. The handoff.
Right. And all along the way, they're keeping the CRM, the customer relationship management system, updated, notes, interactions, making sure everything's logged.
Okay, so it's a lot of groundwork, focused, often quite repetitive tasks, it sounds like.
It can be, yeah.
Which I guess naturally leads us to why AI? What's the big business case here? Why even consider AI SDRs? What's the potential impact?
Well, the potential impact, especially in B2B sales, seems pretty significant based on the material we looked at. The core argument is really about transformation.
Transformation how?
So, for instance, the article suggests a potential cost reduction of around 67%. That's, compared to running a team of human SDRs.
Wow, okay. 67%. That's huge, almost 2/3. What's driving that saving? Is it just salaries or?
It seems to be more than just salaries, though that's likely part of it. The article actually had this interesting visual, right?
Yeah.
It compared the cost per meeting set up by a human SDR, they labeled it AFANG in their chart for some reason.
EMANG. Okay.
Yeah, kind of weird label.
Yeah.
And they compared that to the AI SDR, which they called Vire Profiner AI Repuse. Also a bit strange. But the numbers were stark. The human SDR cost per meeting was listed at $127.45. The AI SDR, just $22.60. And there was this symbol next to it,
Mock, like the Japanese word.
Could be. The article didn't explain the labels or the symbol, honestly. But you look at $127 versus $22. The economic difference just jumps right out at you.
Absolutely. That's a massive difference per meeting. So, okay, costs clearly a big driver. What other advantages did the material highlight?
Yeah, there were several other key points. One was the 24/7 operation. AI agents don't sleep, they don't take breaks, so they can engage prospects across any time zone, literally any time.
Right. Nonstop outreach potential.
Exactly, and that ties into the volume. The article mentioned a potential 5x increase in contact volume, just sheer numbers.
5 times the outreach.
Yeah, and maybe a bit surprisingly, consistency. It mentioned something like 93% consistency in messaging.
That's interesting.
So every prospect gets the same core message, same branding, really tight control there.
Yeah, I can see how that would be valuable for brand identity. Okay, so we get the why. Big cost savings, more outreach, consistency. Now let's get into the what. What are the essential building blocks? What tech actually powers these things?
Okay, so at the core, an effective AI SDR system kind of relies on a few key technologies working together. First up is natural language processing, NLP.
NLP, right. Heard that term.
Think of it as the AI's ability to understand human language, not just keywords, but like the actual meaning and intent behind what a prospect says or asks, even if it's phrased awkwardly,
So it gets nuance, not just matching words.
Ideally, yes. More sophisticated than just keyword spotting. Second, you need a really well-structured knowledge base.
Okay, like its brain.
Kind of, yeah. It's the AI's library. product details, service info, pricing, and importantly, preloaded strategies for handling common objections.
Yeah.
It costs too much. I need to talk to my boss, that kind of thing.
Got it. Prepping it for the tough questions.
Exactly. Third, a crucial piece is the integration layer. This is what lets the AI SDR actually talk to your other systems, your CRM, email tools, maybe even your phone system.
So it's not working in a silo.
Absolutely not. It needs to connect. And finally, you've got automation tools. These handle the more routine stuff, like sending follow-up reminders, scheduling the meetings automatically, confirming time.
Right. Takes the admin burden off. So NLP, knowledge-based integration, automation. Sounds like a mini tech ecosystem just for the AI SDR.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so if a company's thinking, right, we want one, where do they start with choosing the tech? What are the big decision points there?
The material points to a few key areas. First is choosing the foundation model.
The underlying AI engine, basically.
Yeah, the large language model that does the actual language understanding and generation. So you might look at general purpose ones like GPT-4 or Claude. They're really capable.
The big names?
Right. Or potentially there might be more industry-specific models emerging trained specifically on sales conversations. That's something to watch. And then there's the hosting decision. Do you use a cloud service for this model, or do you try and host it yourself on-premise? That involves thinking about cost, security, control, your own IT resources.
Right, the classic cloud versus on-prem debate. Okay, what about how it actually talks to people? The channels.
Good question. You need to select the communication channels. So for email, you'd likely integrate it with established platforms people might already be using, like Outreach or SalesLoft.
Okay.
For actually making phone calls, if you want the AI to do that, you'd look at voice AI systems. The article mentioned things like Dialpad or Orem as examples.
So it can actually call people?
Apparently, yes.
Yes.
And then super important is data management. You need a robust CRM like Salesforce or HubSpot as the central hub.
Yeah.
And you might enhance that with data enrichment tools, Clearbit or ZoomInfo were mentioned, just to make sure your prospect data is accurate and complete.
Makes sense. You need good data going in for good results coming out.
Absolutely. Garbage in, garbage out still applies.
Okay, so you got the tech pieces. But an AI SDR won't just work perfectly out of the box, right? How do you actually train it? How do you teach it to be effective?
No, definitely not plug and play. Training is absolutely critical. The material laid out a few key steps here. First is you need to collect training data.
Like examples.
Exactly. Gather examples of what good looks like. Successful sales calls, email threads, how your best human SDRs handle objections. This is the raw material the AI learns from.
Feeding it best practices.
Precisely. Then you need to develop conversation flows. This means mapping out how conversations should ideally go. Like decision trees. If prospect says X, AI does Y. If they ask about pricing, here's the path. If they object with Z, here's the response strategy.
So you're scripting the interactions in a way.
Sort of, but more dynamic than a rigid script. It guides the AI's logic. Then comes a really important phase, testing and refining.
See how it actually does.
Yeah, you let it run, maybe in a limited way, analyze the conversations it has, see where it struggles, where it shines, and then you tweak the flows, the responses, improve the quality.
Iterate.
Constant iteration. And finally, you might need to fine-tune the actual AI model itself. This is a bit more technical, but it involves further training the base model specifically on your company's language, your product names, your unique selling points, so it sounds less generic and more like your company.
So it speaks your language, literally.
That's the goal.
Okay, that sounds like a process. Continuous learning, really. Now, you mentioned integration earlier, connecting it to things like the CRM. Can you expand a bit on why that's so vital?
Yeah, that seamless integration. It's really what makes the whole thing work efficiently. The article stressed this. It absolutely needs to connect to your email platform to send those personalized messages we talked about.
Right.
Probably most importantly, it needs tight integration with your CRM system. That's the single source of truth for customer data, right?
Yeah.
Every AI interaction needs to be logged there so you have a complete history, no gaps.
Unified view.
Exactly. If it's making calls, it needs to connect to your calling software to actually dial out and, crucially, log the outcome automatically. Was it a voicemail? Did they connect? Was a meeting booked?
Automating the logging, too.
Yes. And finally, integration with scheduling tools is key. If the AI qualifies a prospect, it needs to be able to book that meeting directly onto the right account executive's calendar.
So it closes that loop itself.
Yeah, avoids dropping the ball, avoids manual steps, keeps the momentum going. It basically connects the dots in your sales tech stack.
Got it. Making everything work together. Okay, so it's up and running. It's integrated. How do you know if it's actually working? How do you measure success? What are the KPIs?
Yeah, measuring is crucial. You need to know if it's delivering value.
Yeah.
The material highlighted several key performance indicators, KPIs, that are especially relevant. Remember that bar chart graphic?
Going with the weird labels.
That one. It actually compared human and AI SDR performance on some key metrics. So one obvious metric is outreach volume.
And the AI wins there, presumably.
Significantly higher, yeah, because it works 20/47. Another metric is response rate.
How many people actually reply?
Exactly. And interestingly, the chart suggested human SBRs might actually have a slightly higher response rate.
Oh, really? Why do you think that is?
The material didn't explicitly say, but you could guess maybe that human touch, personalization, adapting in real time in a way AI still struggles with, perhaps.
Mm-hmm. Interesting nuance.
But then, when it comes to meetings booked, the ultimate goal for an SDR, really the AI seemed to significantly outperform the humans again.
Probably because of the sheer volume, right? Even with a slightly lower response rate.
That seems the most likely explanation. Volume compensates. And finally, that cost per meeting metric we already discussed.
Where the AI was way cheaper.
Yeah, a massive advantage shown there.
So it's a mixed bag in some ways, but overall, the potential for higher output, more meetings at a lower cost seems pretty compelling.
That's the picture the material paints, yes.
Okay, but it can't all be smooth sailing. Let's talk challenges. What are the common bumps in the road? What hurdles might companies face trying to implement this? And how do you get over them?
That's a really important reality check. The article did cover several potential challenges. One is prospect skepticism.
People not wanting to talk to a robot?
Basically, yeah. They might be hesitant, resistant, even annoyed. The suggested fix, transparency.
Just tell them it's an AI.
Yeah, be upfront about it.
Yeah.
And always provide an easy, obvious way to escalate to a human if they prefer or if things get complex.
Okay. Don't trap them with the bot.
Right, another challenge.
Yeah.
Handling really complex questions. Stuff that's way outside the AI's training or knowledge base.
What happens then?
You need fallback plans. A robust knowledge base helps, but also clear protocols for handing off those tricky technical or strategic questions to a human expert seamlessly. Don't leave the prospect hanging.
Smooth handoff again.
Then there are data privacy concerns. Huge issue.
GDPR, CCPA, all that.
Absolutely. You have to ensure compliance. Strict data handling protocols are non-negotiable,
Yeah.
especially if you're dealing with any sensitive customer info.
Can't mess that up.
No way. And finally, integration issues, especially if you have older legacy systems that don't play nicely with new tech.
Yeah. Trying to connect old and new can be a nightmare.
It can. The advice was to look at middleware solutions, tools that act as translators between systems. And going forward, prioritize new tech that's built with APIs first, making future integrations easier.
Plan for integration from the start. Okay, so transparency, human handoffs, data safety, smart integration planning. Sounds like key pillars for success.
It seems that way.
So let's say a company is ready. They've considered the challenges. They like the potential benefits. What does the actual rollout look like? Is it like flipping a switch or more gradual?
Definitely more gradual. The material laid out a sensible, phased implementation roadmap. It suggests starting small with a pilot phase.
Testing the waters?
Exactly. Maybe 1 to 2 months. Deploy the AI SDR with just a limited scope, a specific product line, a small segment of prospects. Monitor it super closely. Gather feedback, what works, what doesn't.
Learn quickly.
Right. Then comes the refinement phase, maybe another 2 to 3 months. Based on what you learned in the pilot, you tune the conversation flows, you fix bugs, you improve the integrations, make it better.
Okay. Pilot, then fix.
Then you move to a controlled rollout. This could be 3 to 4 months. You start expanding its use, maybe to specific market segments or territories. And crucially, this is where you train your existing human sales team on how to work with the AI. Collaboration is key.
So it's not just replacing them, it's changing how they work, too.
That seems to be the implication, yes. Training them on collaboration. And finally, after maybe 5 or 6 months total, you could be ready for full deployment.
Going all in.
Scaling it up across all relevant territories. But even then, you need processes for continuous improvement. It's never really done. You keep monitoring, keep optimizing.
That step-by-step approach definitely feels less daunting than a big bang launch.
Much more manageable, yeah.
Yeah.
Allows for learning and adjustment.
Okay, so wrapping up this deep dive then, based on everything we've pulled from the material, what are the absolute key takeaways someone should have about building and deploying these AI SDRs?
I think the main takeaway is that AI SDRs present this really compelling potential. right? Potential for significant cost savings, major boosts in efficiency thanks to that 247 operation, and sheer volume, and that high level of message consistency.
The big upsides.
The big upsides. But, and it's a big but, it's not magic. Success isn't guaranteed. It demands really careful thought about the technology choices. A thorough training process for the AI. Getting that seamless integration with your existing tech stack is critical. And you absolutely need a proactive strategy for tackling those challenges. We talked about prospect skepticism, data privacy, complexity.
So huge potential, but requires careful, deliberate planning and execution.
That sums it up pretty well. It's a strategic initiative, not just a tech purchase.
It really does feel like we're watching a pretty fundamental shift in how sales teams might operate in the near future. And it definitely makes you wonder, if AI can handle this crucial top-of-funnel sales development piece so effectively, what's next? What other parts of the business are potentially ripe for this kind of AI-driven transformation?
That's the big question, isn't it? Beyond sales development, customer service, marketing, content generation, maybe even certain aspects of closing deals.
It's definitely something to keep a close eye on, the evolution of AI in business functions. Fascinating stuff.